My husband Richard kissed my cheek every Sunday after church service the same way he had for 31 years. "Going for coffee, sweetheart," he'd say, his voice warm like honey, and I'd smile and nod because that's what wives do when their husbands have harmless routines. Harmless. God, how that word haunts me now. I'm 67 years old. I raised 3 children. I taught elementary school for 40 years. I've lived through recessions and celebrations, births and funerals, joy and heartbreak. I thought I knew what life looked like. I thought I understood the man I'd been married to since I was 36. I was wrong about everything. The Sunday he didn't come home started like any other. We sat in our usual pew at Grace Community Church, 3rd row from the back, right side. Richard held the hymnal between us during How Great Thou Art, his baritone voice blending with my alto the way it had since 1992. His hand found mine during the final prayer, his thumb rubbing gentle circles on my palm. After the service, we stood on the church steps making small talk with the Hendersons about their granddaughter's college acceptance. Richard checked his watch, 10:47 a.m., always the same time, like clockwork. He kissed my cheek, his lips dry and familiar. "Going for coffee, sweetheart." "Drive safe," I said, adjusting his collar like I always did. Those were the last words I ever spoke to him. But I didn't know that yet, and that ignorance feels like a mercy now. I went home to our house on Maple Street, the one with the blue shutters and the rose garden I'd spent 15 years perfecting. I changed out of my church dress, the navy one with the pearl buttons, and started preparing Sunday dinner. Pot roast with carrots and potatoes, his favorite. The kitchen smelled like thyme and comfort. The phone rang at 1:15 p.m. "Mrs. Catherine Winters?" The voice was young, female, professionally controlled in a way that made my stomach drop. "This is Mercy General Hospital. Your husband has been in an accident." The wooden spoon I'd been holding clattered against the kitchen tile. The sound echoed in a way that still wakes me up at night. "Is he—" My throat closed around the words. "You need to come now, ma'am." The drive to the hospital exists in my memory as fragments, red lights blurring together, the smell of my own perfume suddenly nauseating, my hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white, and one thought repeating like a desperate prayer. "Please, God, please, not yet. We were supposed to have more time." My daughter Karen met me in the emergency room, her mascara streaked down her cheeks in black rivers. That's when I knew. A mother recognizes that particular kind of devastation in her child's eyes. "Mom," she whispered and wrapped her arms around me. Richard was already gone. Massive stroke while driving. The car had drifted into a light pole on Riverside Drive, 3 miles from the church. The doctor, young, tired, kind, said he probably lost consciousness immediately, felt nothing. Quick, clean, merciful. But there was nothing merciful about what came next. I didn't cry, not in the hospital, not during the identification, not when they handed his personal effects in a manila envelope. My sister Janet had gone back to her hotel. The kids had gone home to their families. The silence pressed against my eardrums like water. I opened the envelope. His wallet was there, driver's license with that photo he hated, credit cards, $63 in cash, a picture of me from our 25th anniversary tucked behind his insurance card. I traced my younger face with one finger, remembering that day, that version of us. But tucked behind that photo was something I'd never seen before. A small business card, white, plain, with just an address printed in neat black ink, 1247 Riverside Drive. No business name, no phone number, no logo, just an address. I turned the card over. On the back, in Richard's careful handwriting, "Every Sunday, 11 a.m. My hands started shaking, and I couldn't make them stop. If your instincts are screaming at you right now that something in your own life doesn't add up, don't ignore it. Hit that subscribe button because what I discovered could save you from 31 years of living a lie. And if you won't subscribe, drop a comment and tell me why you're willing to stay blind to the truth. Sometimes ignorance isn't bliss, it's just cowardice. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in our bed, the king-size one we'd picked out together at a furniture store closing sale in 1995, and stared at the ceiling. The card sat on Richard's nightstand, glowing in my peripheral vision like something radioactive. Every Sunday, 11 a.m., the same time he left for coffee, the same ritual for 31 years. 52 weeks a year, minus the 2 Sundays we'd been on vacation and the 1 Sunday he had pneumonia. That was, I did the math in my head, roughly 1,600 Sundays. 1,600 times my husband had kissed my cheek and lied to me. No, I was jumping to conclusions. Maybe it was a coffee shop. Maybe every Sunday 11 a.m. referred to a standing coffee date with friends, other men from church perhaps. Harmless, innocent. There had to be an explanation. But at 3 a.m., doubt crept in like cold water under a door. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand and typed the address into Google Maps. The screen loaded and my breath caught in my throat. 1247 Riverside Drive was exactly 2.3 miles from Grace Community Church, a 7-minute drive. Richard had always been gone for 2 hours, and it wasn't a coffee shop. The satellite image showed a modest single-story house with pale blue siding, a small front porch, and an overgrown garden. A residential address. Someone's home. Whose home? I zoomed in, studying every detail like it might offer answers. A mailbox, a driveway with a silver Honda, hedges that needed trimming. Nothing remarkable, nothing that explained why my husband of 31 years had been going there every single Sunday. Unless Richard had been... I couldn't finish the thought. My mind shied away from it like a horse refusing a jump. Richard wouldn't. He wasn't that kind of man. We had a good marriage. Not perfect, no marriage is, but good, solid. We raised 3 wonderful children. We laughed together. We made love regularly, even into our 60s. He seemed happy. But then I seemed happy too, and right now I felt like the ground had opened beneath me. I got out of bed and went to Richard's study. The room still smelled like him, Old Spice and paper and the peppermint candies he kept in his desk drawer. His reading glasses sat folded on top of a library book about World War II. Everything exactly as he had left Sunday morning. I opened his desk drawers one by one, files organized with his typical precision. Taxes, insurance, medical records, investment statements. Nothing unusual, nothing hidden. I checked his computer, password protected. I'd never learned it because Richard had always handled the technology stuff. How many other things had I let him handle? How many doors had I never thought to open? At dawn, I made a decision. I would drive to 1247 Riverside Drive. I would see the house with my own eyes. And maybe, please God, I would find an innocent explanation that would let me keep my memories intact. But my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Monday morning arrived gray and cold. Janet called at 8 a.m., her voice heavy with concern. "How are you doing, Ellie? Do you want me to come over?" "I'm fine," I lied. "I just need some time alone. I'm going to run errands." "Are you sure? I'm sure, thank you." I hung up before she could press further. I couldn't have her with me for this. Whatever I was about to discover, I needed to face it alone. The drive to Riverside Drive took 12 minutes. I knew because I watched every second tick by on the car's dashboard clock. My hands were steady on the wheel, but my heart hammered against my ribs like it was trying to escape. The neighborhood was quiet, tree-lined, solidly middle class. The houses were small but well-maintained.
A woman jogged past with a golden retriever. A mail truck rumbled down the street. Normal. Everything looked so devastatingly normal. 1247 Riverside Drive sat at the end of a cul-de-sac. The house was exactly as it had appeared in the satellite image. Pale blue with white trim, a small porch with 2 wicker chairs, an overgrown garden that someone had recently attempted to tame. The silver Honda sat in the driveway. I parked across the street and stared. What was I doing? What did I expect to find? Richard was dead. Whatever secrets this house held, they died with him. I should go home. I should grieve my husband like a normal widow and never, ever look back. But I couldn't. I got out of the car. My legs felt disconnected from my body as I crossed the street. Each step felt like wading through water. The morning air was sharp in my lungs. I walked up the driveway. There were children's chalk drawings on the concrete, faded rainbows and stick figures. A basketball hoop hung from the garage. This was a family home. The front door was painted red. I raised my hand to knock, then froze. What was I going to say? Hello, I'm the wife of a man who apparently spent every Sunday for 31 years at this address, and I'd like to know why. It sounded insane. I sounded insane. But before I could lower my hand, the door opened. A woman stood in the doorway. She was younger than me, maybe late 40s, with auburn hair pulled into a messy bun and tired eyes. She wore yoga pants and an oversized sweater. She looked like any suburban mother you'd see at a grocery store. She looked at me, and her face went white. "Oh, my God," she whispered. "You're Catherine." My blood turned to ice. "How do you know my name?" Her eyes filled with tears. "He told me about you. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." She stepped back, pulling the door wider. "Please, come in. You deserve to know the truth." I stepped into the house, and my entire world shattered. Stop right here. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet, you need to ask yourself why. Are you afraid of the truth? Are you comfortable living in denial like I was for 31 years? Subscribe now, because the next chapter will reveal something so devastating that it changed everything I thought I knew about my marriage. And if you won't subscribe, leave a comment explaining how you'd handle finding out your entire life was a lie. I'll wait. The inside of the house was warm and lived in. Children's artwork covered the refrigerator. Toys sat in a basket by the couch. A framed photo on the mantel showed the auburn-haired woman with 2 children, a teenage girl and a younger boy. But what made my knees buckle was the photo next to it. Richard, my Richard, smiling at the camera with his arm around the boy. The boy had Richard's eyes, his nose, his smile. "Please sit down," the woman said, guiding me to the couch. "I'll get you water." I sat because my legs wouldn't hold me anymore. She returned with a glass, her hands shaking almost as badly as mine. "My name is Patricia Morgan. Richard was... God, I don't even know how to say this." "Just say it." My voice came out flat, dead. She took a shaky breath. "Richard was my husband, too." The room tilted. "That's not possible. We've been married for 31 years. "I know. We've been married for 32. The water glass slipped from my hand, soaking into the carpet. Neither of us moved to clean it up. "That's impossible," I whispered. "He lived with me. He came home every night. He told me he traveled for work," Patricia said, tears streaming down her face. "He said he was a sales consultant, that he was on the road Monday through Saturday. He came home every Sunday morning at 11 and left Monday at dawn. For 32 years. My mind struggled to process this. But Sundays, he left after church. He was only gone 2 hours. 2 hours with you, 21 hours with us. She wiped her eyes. I never questioned it. He said his territory was huge, that Sunday was his only day off, and he was here every single Sunday, for breakfast, for dinner, for bedtime stories. The kids, she voice broke, the kids thought they had a normal father, a father who worked hard during the week but never missed a Sunday. I stared at her, this woman who was both stranger and mirror. Did you know about me? Not until last week, after the accident. She stood, walked to a desk, and pulled out a folder. The police called me Sunday afternoon. They said my husband had died in a car accident. They asked me to come to the hospital. She handed me a piece of paper. It was a marriage certificate. Richard James Winters and Patricia Ann Morgan, dated July 15th, 1991, 1 year before our wedding. I went to the hospital, she continued, her voice hollow, but they told me his wife had already been notified, his wife, Catherine. I told them there must be a mistake, that I was his wife. That's when they showed him his wallet. He had photos of both of us. My hands trembled as I pulled out my own copy, our marriage certificate, Richard James Winters and Catherine Rose Sullivan, dated August 8th, 1992. He was married to both of us, I whispered, at the same time for 31 years. I started investigating, Patricia said. I hired a private investigator. He found your address, your marriage certificate, everything. Richard had 2 completely separate lives, 2 homes, 2 families. I looked at the photos on the mantel. Those children? Sarah is 16, James is 13. They both think their father just died in a tragic accident. She sat heavily. How do I tell them the truth? How do I tell them their father was a bigamist, that half their life was a lie? My mind reeled. I have 3 children. Michael is 42, Karen is 39, Daniel is 35. They all think I couldn't finish. They think they knew their father, Patricia finished softly, just like Sarah and James, just like you and me. We sat in silence, 2 women who'd loved the same man, who'd been betrayed by him in the most fundamental way possible. The money, I said suddenly. How did he manage 2 households? I never saw unusual expenses. Patricia's face darkened. I just found out yesterday. He took out a second mortgage on this house 3 years ago. Told me it was for home improvements we never made. $60,000. Gone. And credit cards in my name I never opened. $30,000 in debt. My stomach dropped. He did the same to me. Or, God, he probably did the same to both of us. She nodded, fresh tears falling. I think he was desperate, trying to maintain 2 lives, 2 families. The money must have been running out. Did he love us? The question came out before I could stop it. Patricia looked at me with eyes full of pain. I don't know. I thought he loved me. Every Sunday he'd walk through that door with flowers or a toy for the kids. He'd kiss me and tell me he missed me. He'd help James with his homework and listen to Sarah practice violin. He seemed present, real. He was the same with me, attentive, loving. He never forgot our anniversary. He held my hand at church. I laughed, a bitter sound. Church. God, we went to church every Sunday, and then he came here to play house with you. I'm so sorry, Patricia whispered. If I'd known. You didn't know. Neither of us did. I stood up, needing to move, needing to do something with the rage building inside me. That's what he counted on, that we never find out, that we just keep living our separate, compartmentalized lives while he played the devoted husband to
Both of us. Patricia stood too. What do we do now? The police need to be notified, and the financial fraud. I have a lawyer, I said. From my first marriage certificate, I'm legally his wife, which means the implications hit me, which means your marriage was never legal. You were never actually married to him. Her face crumpled. 32 years, 2 children, and I was never his wife? The cruelty of it staggered me. At least I had the legal protection of marriage, problematic as that marriage now appeared. Patricia had nothing. We'll figure this out, I said, surprised by the firmness in my voice. Together, we're both victims here. She nodded, wiping her eyes. There's one more thing you should know. My stomach clenched. What? The investigator found something else. She walked to the desk and pulled out another folder. Richard had a storage unit under a fake name. The investigator got inside. She handed me photos. My hands shook as I looked through them. Documents, files, and photos. Dozens of photos of women, different women, with dates written on the back. Oh, God, I whispered. How many? We don't know yet, but it looks like we weren't the only ones. I drove home in a daze, Patricia's number saved in my phone, and a promise to meet again tomorrow. The house on Maple Street looked different now, like a stage set that had been exposed as fake. Karen's car was in the driveway. She met me at the door, her face worried. Mom, where have you been? I've been calling for hours. I walked past her into the kitchen and sat at the table. I need to tell you something about your father. Sit down. Her face went pale. What's wrong? Your father was married to another woman for 32 years. They have 2 children together. The color drained from her face. That's not possible. That's not... Mom, what are you talking about? I told her everything, the business card, the address, Patricia, the photos. I watched my daughter's face cycle through disbelief, shock, anger, and finally devastation. I don't understand. How? When? Every Sunday after church. That's where he went. She stared at me. For coffee? For his other family. Karen started crying, deep sobs that shook her whole body. I held her like I had when she was small, but I had no comfort to offer. How do you comfort someone when the foundation of their life has crumbled? Michael and Daniel arrived within the hour, called by Karen. I told the story again, watching my sons' faces harden with anger. I'll kill him, I swear to God, if he wasn't already dead. He was, Daniel interrupted, his voice cold. He was already dead to us. The father we thought we knew never existed. That night I called Patricia. We need to go to the police, report the bigamy, the financial fraud, all of it. I'm scared, she admitted. What if this becomes public? What about Sarah and James? They're already grieving. This will destroy them. It's already destroyed, I said gently. Now we just have to pick up the pieces. Listen to me very carefully. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, you're missing the most important lesson here. The truth will always come out. Always. You can ignore the warning signs, you can trust blindly, but eventually reality catches up. Subscribe now if you want to learn how to protect yourself from the same fate. And if you won't subscribe, comment below and tell me why you think your relationship is different. I'm listening, and I guarantee you're wrong. The next morning, Patricia and I went to the police station together. Detective Sarah Chen listened to our story with a carefully neutral expression. I need to see all documentation, she said. Marriage certificates, financial records, photos, everything. We spent 3 hours laying out Richard's double life. Detective Chen took notes, her expression growing darker. This is one of the most elaborate cases of bigamy and fraud I've encountered. The financial crimes alone, Mrs. Winters, Mrs. Morgan, you're both victims here. I'll need to launch a full investigation. There's more, Patricia said quietly.
She showed Detective Chen the photos from the storage unit. "We think there may be other women." Detective Chen's jaw tightened. "I'll look into it." Over the next 2 weeks, the investigation uncovered horrors I couldn't have imagined. The storage unit contained evidence of at least 3 other women Richard had been involved with over the years. Not marriages, but relationships, affairs that had lasted months or years. Financial records showed a complex web of debt, loans, and fraudulent accounts. Richard had stolen from both Patricia and me, opening credit cards in our names, forging signatures, taking out loans against properties we didn't know about. The total damage, over $300,000 in debt between us. "How did we not see it?" I asked Patricia during one of our many meetings. We'd become unlikely allies, united by betrayal. "Because he was good at it," she said. "This wasn't accidental. This was calculated, methodical. He built 2 separate lives and maintained them for over 3 decades. That takes skill." "That takes a monster," I corrected. The hardest part was watching our children process the truth. Karen went to therapy. Michael stopped coming to family dinners. Daniel threw himself into work, avoiding any conversation about his father. Patricia's children had similar reactions. Sarah, the 16-year-old, started acting out at school. James, 13, withdrew into video games and refused to talk about Richard at all. "They're mourning 2 losses," Patricia's therapist explained to us, "the death of their father and the death of who they thought he was." 1 month after Richard's death, Patricia and I met with a lawyer recommended by Detective Chen. Her name was Victoria Torres, and she specialized in fraud and bigamy cases. "This is complicated," Victoria said, reviewing our files. "Catherine, you're legally married to Richard, which gives you certain rights. Patricia, your marriage was never legal, but you were defrauded. You both have grounds for legal action against his estate." "What estate?" Patricia asked bitterly. "He left nothing but debt." "Actually," Victoria said, "there's a life insurance policy through his work, $500,000. Patricia and I stared at each other. "Who's the beneficiary?" I asked. Victoria checked the documents. "Catherine Winters, his legal wife." Patricia's face fell. "Of course." "No," I said immediately. "We split it, 50-50. You raised his children too. You were his wife in every way that mattered except legally." Patricia's eyes filled with tears. "Catherine, I can't ask you." "You're not asking, I'm insisting." I turned to Victoria. "Can we do that?" "Catherine can voluntarily split it, yes. I'll draw up the paperwork." Patricia grabbed my hand. "Thank you. God, thank you." But the money didn't erase the devastation. It didn't give us back the years we'd lost or the trust that had been shattered. It was just money, and money couldn't fix what Richard had broken. 3 months after Richard's death, I stood in the bedroom we'd shared for 31 years and started packing his clothes. Karen helped me, both of us working in silence. "Mom," she said finally, holding up one of Richard's sweaters, "do you think he ever really loved us?" I thought about all the Sunday mornings, the kisses on my cheek, the "going for coffee, sweetheart," the lies wrapped in routine and affection. "I think he loved us as much as he was capable of loving anyone," I said, "but I also think he loved himself more, and his secrets most of all." "That's not enough," Karen whispered. "No, sweetheart, it's not. I donated all his clothes to Goodwill. I changed the locks on the house. I started therapy with a counselor who specialized in betrayal trauma. Slowly, painfully, I began rebuilding. Patricia and I stayed in touch. Our children met, these half-siblings who'd never known about each other. It was awkward at first, full of grief and anger and confusion, but gradually they formed relationships. Sarah and Karen bonded over their shared experience. Michael took James to basketball games. We became something Richard never could have predicted. A family, not the family he created through lies, but a real one, built on truth and shared survival.
6 months after Richard's death, I went back to Grace Community Church for the first time. People stared. They'd heard the stories. Small towns don't keep secrets. I held my head high and sat in my usual pew, 3rd row from the back, right side. After the service, Pastor Williams approached me. "Catherine, it's good to see you." "Is it?" I asked. "I imagine I'm quite the scandal." "You're a survivor," he said firmly. "What your husband did was unconscionable, but you're still standing. That's what matters." I nodded, tears burning my eyes. "Thank you." That afternoon, I did something I'd been planning for weeks. I drove to Richard's grave. It was the first time I'd been there since the funeral. The headstone was simple: Richard James Winters, beloved husband and father. Beloved. The word felt like a joke. I stood there for a long time, looking at his name carved in granite. I thought about all the things I wanted to say to him, about the rage and betrayal and grief, about the life we could have had if he'd been honest, about the person I thought he was. Finally, I spoke. "I loved you," I said. "That part was real, even if you weren't. But I'm done now. Done grieving the man you pretended to be. Done trying to understand why you did this. You don't get any more of my time." I turned and walked away, leaving him there in the cold ground with his secrets. Before we end this, I need you to understand something. This story isn't just mine. It could be yours. Right now, someone you trust might be living a double life. Someone you love might be lying to you every single day. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because staying informed is the only way to protect yourself. And if you still won't subscribe, leave a comment explaining why you think you're safe. I challenge you, because I thought I was safe too, and I was wrong for 31 years. A year after Richard's death, I stood in front of a group of women at a community center. Patricia sat in the front row supporting me. My name is Catherine, and I was married to a man who lived a double life for over 30 decades. I told them my story, not for sympathy, but as a warning. Financial abuse, bigamy, and fraud don't always look obvious. Sometimes they look like a devoted husband who goes for coffee every Sunday. Sometimes they look like love. After I finished, a woman in her 30s approached me, her hand shaking. "My husband has a routine every Thursday evening. He says it's poker night with friends, but I've never met these friends. And sometimes he comes home smelling like perfume." I took her hands. "Trust your instincts. Ask questions. Look at the bank statements. You deserve to know the truth." She nodded, tears falling. "I'm so scared." "I know, but being scared and knowing is better than being comfortable and blind." Patricia and I started a support group for victims of financial and marital fraud. We met twice a month in the community center, a circle of women sharing stories and strategies. Some had discovered affairs, others had found secret debt or hidden accounts. All of them had trusted someone who'd betrayed that trust. One evening, after everyone had left, Patricia and I sat alone in the empty room. "Do you think we'll ever fully heal?" she asked. I thought about it. I don't think we heal from something like this. We just learn to carry it. The scar tissue becomes part of who we are. "But we're still standing," she said. "We're still standing," I agreed. My children slowly came back to me. Karen finished her therapy and started setting boundaries with people in her life. Michael apologized for pulling away and started calling me every Sunday, a reclamation of that day. Daniel brought his family over for dinner once a week. Patricia's children healed too. Sarah graduated high school and started college with a scholarship I had helped fund from the life insurance money. James joined the basketball team and started smiling again.
We weren't the same people we'd been before Richard died. That innocence, that trust was gone forever. But maybe that wasn't entirely bad. We were stronger now, more cautious, yes, but also more aware. We asked questions, we verified, we didn't blindly trust. 2 years after Richard's death, I sold the house on Maple Street. Too many ghosts. I bought a small condo downtown, filled it with new furniture, and started over. On the wall of my new home, I hung a single quote: "The truth will set you free, but first it will make you miserable." It had certainly made me miserable, but it had also set me free. I was 69 years old. I'd lost 31 years to a lie, but I had time left, time to live honestly, to build real relationships, to know myself without the shadow of Richard's deception. Every Sunday morning, I get up and make myself coffee, real coffee, the good kind. I sit on my balcony and watch the city wake up. Sometimes I think about Richard and his Sunday routine, his careful lies, his double life. And then I think about the woman I've become, not Richard's wife, not anyone's wife, just Catherine, strong, scarred, surviving. I take a sip of my coffee. It tastes like freedom. This is where I leave you. If you've watched this far and still haven't subscribed, I have to wonder what you're waiting for. The next betrayal? The next lie? Don't let my story become your story. Subscribe, learn, protect yourself. And to everyone who did subscribe, thank you. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, because somewhere out there, someone is sipping coffee that tastes like lies, and they don't even know it yet. Help me reach them before it's too late.